everyone, and welcome back to my playlist concerning English literature. So today in this video and the following one we are going to talk about the war poets, English poets who lived in the period of the First World War, and for this reason they just talked about war and they experienced war as well. So their poems were extremely modern, and they didn't follow at all the conventions of poetry of the 19th century. We can say that they expressed especially their feelings, their states of mind, their opinions, their experience concerning war. And so there were two completely different perspectives, two completely different points of view, okay? On one side, poets who wanted to talk about war in a very lyric way and with a very romantic and soft language. They talked about ideals and they also, we can say that it was sort of a propaganda. It was quite rhetoric, and they expressed their patriotism in a very strong and emphasized way. Probably the most famous amongst them was Rupert Brooke with his sonnets, and today we're going to analyze his most famous, his most well-known sonnet, which is The Soldier. On the other side, there were those poets who wanted to express sort of a denounce against war. They really, for example, Owen, Wilfred Owen, he experienced the horrors of war in trenches, also physical suffering, and he used, and other poets who shared his point of view used a very crude and very strong, specific language to express those horror and also physical effects on human beings. So there was a strong denounce against war and against propaganda. In fact, Owen's work, one of his most famous ones, is called Dulce et decorum est, which is Latin, and it's a sort of a lie in his opinion. So that Latin saying says that war or dying in war is something sweet, and it's a reason of glory. Well, he says no, this is just a lie. Now I'm going to tell you, to show you, to talk about what war is, real war is. So we're going to read his work in my next video, and we're going to talk about his opinion, his point of view, and the point of view obviously of those war poets who agreed with him in my next video. Today we are talking about Rupert Brooke. So he was born in 1887 and he attended rugby school, and then Cambridge University. He already was a poet when he joined the Navy, and he wrote 5 war sonnets, very well known. The most common one is the one we are going to read and analyze today, which is The Soldier. Actually, we can say that he saw very little action in war because unfortunately he died of blood poisoning in 1915, so he could experience a little about war. Actually, he was on his way to the Dardanelles, to fight against Turkey, and so unfortunately he died very young. But anyway, his death, his early death actually made him a young hero, a sort of a symbol of propaganda, and probably it gave him great fame. So he became sort of an idealized hero of the war. His poems were actually published after his death, so in 1918, and the name of this collection was Collected Poems, actually. Now we're going to read now together The Soldier. The Soldier is this sonnet that he wrote in December 1914, so basically four months after the outbreak of the First World War. So I will read now the first stanza. We'll talk about that. If I should die, think only this of me, that there's some corner of a foreign field that is forever England. There shall be in that rich earth a richer dust concealed, a dust whom England bore, shaped, made aware, gave once her flowers to love, her ways to roam, a body of England's, breathing English air, washed by the rivers, blessed by sons of home. Well, you can recognize here his quite rhetoric way of talking, the strong patriotism, the strong propaganda, and this language which is very soft, very romantic, very idealized, because the concept of war is actually idealized. So if I should die, you may notice that the poem is first person narrator here, because he is talking, the first person, he is the soldier. And he says, okay, if I die, okay, in war, don't pity me, don't be sorry, okay? Because even if I am dead somewhere around the world in some corner of a foreign field, as he says, okay, there is still a part of England in that place. And so I conquered something, even if I'm dead. Okay, because my body is there, is in that earth, okay, is in that field. And my body represents England. There is England inside myself. This is the strong patriotism of Brooke's work, okay? So I am England. I'm not just English, I am England. And so he says, in that rich earth, so in that field where I'm dead, where my body is, there is a richer dust, okay? So my body, my corpse is something richer because it contains inside what England gave to me. Because England was like a mother. So England bore, shaped and made aware that soldier, okay, like a mother basically, and so he could give him birth, but also England educated, okay, that soldier, and made him aware of himself, of his ideals. And you may notice here that while talking about England, so the motherland, Brooke said England gave once her flowers to love. Okay, so England gave that soldier, okay, that dead soldier, her flowers to love. Her flowers, not its flowers, okay, because England is personified here. England is the mother, okay. This is why he uses the word her or she while talking about a country, their country. And so England bore, shaped, made aware the soldier, gave him her flowers to love, so gave him something beautiful, something sweet to love, taught him to love tender things, okay, flowers in this case. England gave the soldier her ways, its ways to roam, so the opportunity to explore, okay, to grow up. And again, in that place, in that corner of a foreign field, there is a body of England. It's not just an English body, but it's a body of England. So think about the rhetoric use of language to emphasize that patriotism. Breathing English air, okay, again, washed by the rivers, blessed by the sounds of home. So all these elements, okay, nature, so the rivers, the sun, the air, okay, all these elements could create and could actually make that soldier the person he is, and he is England. And so he will never lose, okay, because even after death he is conquering, okay, there's still a conqueror of that place. So there is no chance that a soldier can actually die, because glory is eternal and their conquer is eternal. Okay, so we can say that the possibility of losing, the possibility of dying is actually denied here. And this is, I mean, this is probably the core of propaganda. Okay, in order to ask young people to join the army, the navy, or whatever, they wanted to explain and to convince them that they would have been walking towards glory. Okay, and there is no danger of actually dying, of actually suffering. The suffering in Brooke's poems is just a physical suffering, but it's not so much. It's not so very important, because after all, the most important thing is the feeling. Okay, the ideal that is so strong that even physical suffering doesn't actually count that much. And again, and think, so he's always talking to other people who would eventually survive, well, he could eventually be dead, and think, this heart, all evil shelled away, a pulse in the eternal mind, no less, gives somewhere back the thoughts by England given. Her sights and sounds, dreams happy as her day, and laughter, learnt of France and gentleness, in arts and at peace, under an English heaven. So he goes away in his metaphor, in his idea that you English people have to think, if I am dead, okay, that my heart won't be dying along with my body, okay, my heart will be beating forever. Okay, this is the immortality of ideals and the immortality of the soldier in the eternal mind, so obviously in the eternal context. And in some way, that heart beating gives to the eternal mind thoughts concerning England, okay, because they are inside my body, they're inside, they're in me. So there will be the opportunity through my own death and through my own body and through my own mind and my heart that won't stop beating, there will be the chance to see, to allow others to share sights and sounds and dreams of my country, of England, her sights and sounds, again the personification of the mother England. And laughter, so also something joyful, learned of friends. So there is here an idea of community, of people, and gentleness, again, in hearts at peace under an English heaven. So finally, we can say that in Brooke's opinion, war could be important also to clean the world by evil. and to change and to create something good. So this English heaven and hearts at peace is the final result. You may notice that this rhetoric way of talking is celebrating some ideals that were typical of the classical and heroic literature. This is obviously quite typical, together obviously with the propaganda of the time. And there are also some aspects that are quite similar to the ideas that provoked or anyway supported the Victorian imperialism. So the idea that England was superior, that British people were superior, and so when they decided to colonize a country, they would give them, okay, their social pattern, political pattern, their religion, their moral code, the strict moral code of the Victorian era, actually, the ideal of a patriarchal family, appearances, and so on and so on. And so they were given this as a sort of a gift to make other countries, other people better, okay, to civilize them. Okay, so this idea of England on a higher level, well, this is quite similar to that ideal of war, okay, together, as I said before, to the heroic ideal, a classical ideal of glory, of eternal glory, of immortality, and obviously propaganda that was used a lot by propaganda of the time, together with the fact that Brooke himself was, as I said before, a symbol, okay, because of his early death, a symbol of this young hero that represented so well we can say the various ideas and techniques of propaganda. Actually, Brooke, unfortunately, didn't have the chance to question his own beliefs, to question his own ideas, because obviously he died too young, and so he couldn't actually experience the horror of war. And so he died, and his ideals were still there and uncorrupted, because he couldn't have the chance to question them. We will never know whether he would have changed his mind or not. But we know that Owen thought the opposite. He believed in the complete opposite. So his works are a very strong denounce and very strong criticism against war and against propaganda as an old and huge lie. So he talks about war in a completely different way. The language is the opposite. It's very, very strong. It's very, very crude. He experienced suffering, okay, in first person, and he wants to use poetry to express that. And he also talked about the aim that poetry should have had, in his opinion. So in my next video we're going to talk about Owen, and you will see how different these two poets are, even if they lived in the same period and actually talked about the same topic. I hope this video was interesting, and I hope you liked it. If you did, please share it and like it and subscribe my channel, and I hope to see you very soon with the other video about war poets. Thank you so very much for your support, and bye!